Welcome to Gold Shields. Join NYPD veterans Tom Smith and Dan Murphy. With over 50 years of combined experience chasing drug lords, dismantling cartels, and hunting terrorists. Now they pull back the curtain, sharing raw, unfiltered stories from the front lines and the heroes who stood beside them. No topics off limits. This is real. This is true crime. This is Gold Shields.
Welcome back to Gold Shields. This is Dan Murphy along with my partner in crime, Tom Smith. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Cold, snowy in New York, but we're making it through. All good.
I'm at an undisclosed location that is not cold and snowy. That's all I can say. But my heart goes out to you. It really does.
Yeah, but you know what? Cold and snowy days make for good shows. So that's actually what we got tonight. We talk a lot about what goes into police work and how in the blink of an eye, your life can change on so many different levels and so many different fronts. And talking to Karli Travis tonight, detective from Middletown, Connecticut, everyone's going to get a taste of what 30 seconds can do and the impact of 30 seconds in someone's life, especially in law enforcement. It is an incredible story. It's an incredible journey that Karli's been on, culminating in her induction into the National Law Enforcement Officers Hall of Fame this past March, which we're so proud of her about. So we're going to get to this incredible woman right now, Karli Travis. Welcome to Gold Shields, and thank you so much for having the honor to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's our pleasure. And, we will get more to a little bit more about who Karli Travis is. But let's go right to the event that gave you the opportunity through this event to become a member of the National Law Enforcement Officers Hall of Fame and receive the Courage in Service Award last year. A phenomenally tremendous honor that you deserve. It's August of 2023, correct?
Yes, August 12th.
And you're a detective, but you're agreeing to fill in uniform on a midnight shift to help out. Is that correct?
Well, not necessarily a fee.
Well,
Agreeing.
voluntold? Yeah.
Voluntold to be there, yes.
Those of us in policing understand that. Take us to that night. A night that everybody wishes never happens in their career, but you had to face.
So, as much of an honor as what is to be and have been nominated into the National Law Enforcement Hall of Fame, I never thought that I would ever do anything to get there. My work initially did not revolve around anything that usually is publicly
Recognized?
recognized. Thank you. So, with that being said, it was August 12th of 2023. And the night started like the whole night and day prior kind of all goes together, because this was an evening that my boyfriend was out at a wedding, and that's not common with us. He's usually home, but I was ordered in for a midnight shift. So, backtracking to the daytime prior to, I worked my normal 8 to 4, and then I had a cadet dinner fundraiser event that evening. I knew I would only get to go home, maybe shut my eyes for an hour before this midnight shift, which now that I'm a detective, I rarely work midnights. So to me, was very difficult. Anyways, come home, try to sleep. My house alarm keeps going off and waking me up. And it was the weirdest thing. And I always say this, I always start the story with that because it has never done this before. There was no reason for it to go off, and it has not done it since. It was just it did not, like, the God did not want me to sleep. And so he I, uh, go to the PD at midnight, and I work through the night, barely any calls. I am going back to the PD a little bit early to get undressed because we're done, almost done. And my boss texts me and she wants me to pick up coffee for her. So I go out and a call comes in for a man breaking glass. And I'm right down the street at the gas station grabbing her coffee. If I had been at the PD, it would have taken me a little while to get there. But I was right down the street. So I go in my car, I go back in my cruiser, I text her, I'm like, I'm just gonna take care of this call really quick. It'll be 2 seconds. I'm 2 minutes away. And this house was on a weird angle where two streets connect. It's almost like this house is in between four different sections. So there's plenty of areas to park. But this was a one-way street. Normally, when we get calls on this street, like, we pretty much park in front of the house. Again, it's a loud noise complaint, but something made me rethink how I was driving, and I legitimately pulled up my map to make sure I knew this off street. Because, like I said, it's a weird intersection. So I pulled up my map to make sure I was going on the right street and make sure that the house was in walking distance, and that's very abnormal. I normally would just pull right in front of the house. But I get there and I'm totally out of sight of the house. So I get out of my car. I Monday morning quarterback myself a million times over, obviously since, but I got out of the car with keys in one hand, my phone in the other. I'm finishing my text to her. I will never get out of the cruiser again with anything in my hands. And I'm starting to walk up to the house and I see a guy sitting on the porch and he's just sitting there kind of mumbling. And I have cargo pants on that have the Velcro. So I start to unhook both of my pockets and he starts to get up. And well, prior to getting up, something bangs. He like is picking something up and it bangs. He drops it a couple times, like on purpose. And so that's when I start putting my stuff away. But I wasn't in a huge rush because I was I was pretty far away. And he was walking pretty slowly. And I'm not sure exactly what he comes out and I see he has a hammer in his hand. So he walks off the porch. I see he has a hammer in his hand. But again, he's moving very slowly. I know this seems like a lot of time, but I'm still putting my phone and keys away. And I ask him to put it down, please. And he just yelled like, "What?" And I'm like, "Can you put that down, please?" And I remember I got my phone in my pocket faster than my keys. So stupidly, I had to use my right hand for my radio. And so at that point, I knew something was off and I lost my words because that can happen. So I said, um, something like "come hot," which is like, I've never, like, that was just like, I'm like, where did I even find those words? Because that's just not something we say. But, anyways, I get him in and he just starts running at me within seconds, just running at me. Um, and like yelling. I have no idea what he was yelling, but he was just screaming. And to put a visual, this guy's probably at least like 3 times my size. He's massive human being. And so I can't feel anything. I don't know exactly what happened, but I had gotten out my gun already. And I started shooting, but I was knocked to the ground. And um I'm like trying to I'm pushing him away with my hands, but also my legs. And all of a sudden, my hand starts burning, and I shot my hand. And I didn't know if I had lost a finger. Like, I didn't know if my hand was like working, and it was my left hand, but and I'm on the ground at this point, and the last place anybody wants to be is on the ground while they're still standing. And he gets behind me, and yeah, at this point, blood is all over, and he's trying to get my gun from me, and he's behind my back, and um, I could just the feeling of a like it's sliding away. My gun is like sliding away. I didn't know if my hand was working. The trigger, because it was right in my stomach, because I was trying to just all I wanted to then I don't care where he hits me, anything like that, but I wanted to protect the guy. Like if he and I in that moment was really thinking like he's just gonna stand over me and like shoot me in the head. He once he gets it from me. So but he kind of like his fingers were sliding between mine and trying to ungrip it so thankfully, I kept control of my firearm, and I'll get into how I think that this is something that people don't really think about. Once you take out your firearm, your other capabilities are just so diminished because you have to keep control of it. So, anyways, somehow I get away, and he separates, and like I shoot him again. And I remember because he wasn't coming towards me, and he was bleeding, like, he was shot a few times, so he was bleeding, and I was like because you do just kinda wanna keep pulling your trigger, but he turned around, and I remember stopping myself before he even turned around because I'm like, "You can use force, but not excessive force," like, I feel like I was thinking very cleverly with certain things and not clearly with others. But and then 2 seconds later, my backup arrived, and um that is and then there's a whole different aftermath of it. But that is the story. This guy has been what we call it 2-6. Just mentally unstable and has attacked law enforcement in the past, has been arrested and released over for 30 times. I don't want to misquote. I think it's 36. So he robbery, assault, the whole 9 yards.
Well, I watched your body cam footage, and it's terrifying because, like Dan said in the beginning of this, it's everyone's nightmare. And of course, the one thing that I kind of smirked at was you weren't supposed to be working. If we had a dime for every time we weren't supposed to be somewhere and something bad happened, we'd all be millionaires. Every cop, not just the three of us, every cop I know. Every time something bad happens, you weren't supposed to work that day, you were supposed to be off, whatever the case might be. It's always happening. And when I saw that, I just went, yeah, of course. That's just part of this. But the one thing, Karli, is he's hitting you with this hammer as he's trying to grab your gun. So, like you said, the conscious thought of holding, you just said, I don't care what he does to me, you're not getting my gun. That's even more terrifying. Someone fighting with you is one thing. Someone hitting you with a hammer and trying to control your gun is something different. I mean, the job you did to just stay alive is remarkable.
And we're never alone either. And the order and aspect of it, there were two other things really quickly that happened because my coworkers felt so bad. I was actually ordered in for a different shift, but one of my friends, he needed to swap. And so you like maybe a day or two prior, I agreed to swap with him. So this was supposed to be his shift, and he was a canine officer. So I know he holds a little bit of, he just felt terrible because that was a perfect canine call. If he had gotten out with his dog, that would have been perfect. And he's like, I am so, like, he felt like it was his fault a little bit. I'm like, not at all. And then in roll call, I was actually assigned to a district totally across our city. And I didn't want that district. And I should have known, you never pick your district. It was an order in. I wanted to just kind of be lollygagging. Like, so I wanted to be a rover, what we call it. So somebody swapped with me, or else I would have been totally on the other side of the city. So all those decisions, like, there were so many decisions that could have, but I'm glad it was me. Like, I am glad that at the end of the day, I just would never have wanted this to happen to anybody else. Because you never know how it would have turned out. I've had plenty of other officers say, I don't know if I would have even thought to get my gun out.
That says a lot about you. It says a lot about the person that you are, that you wouldn't want anybody else to go through something you went through. If you can tell us, walk us through, what were your injuries?
So I have had to get hips. I did have a concussion. Um, and there were several huge, which I didn't even notice. I think they were so focused on a gunshot wound to my hand. So that was the major one. And they were so focused on that they didn't really do a whole body check. So, um, yeah, I was trailing off. But when I got home, they had given me some pain meds for my hands, and that night, because this happened at 6:30 in the morning, but that night, all of a sudden, I'm like, I have a huge headache, and I feel my head, and I'm like, there's multiple lumps on my head. I had no idea that I had even been hit. Like, I was like, I had no idea. So, major concussion. I still am kind of, I go to OT for that and different things. I haven't felt quite the same since. I always thought that everyone gets concussions. It's a small thing, but I think that it has really impacted me. I've had hip surgery, for a torn labrum, and, um, and then I also have a bulged disc and tear in my neck. So, which has went down to my shoulders. Long story, but I really don't want surgery. So I'm trying to do that, mend that in other ways. So I just started a new therapy that I'm really hoping is going to help. So,
All like I said in the beginning of this, in 30 seconds. And people don't get it. When, haters of law enforcement, and why didn't you do this, and why didn't you do that, and why wasn't this done? Cases like yours is what infuriates us when you hear that, because nobody gets it. Even other cops don't get it who don't go through this. Uh, and the one thing that I could not believe, and this is what one question that I couldn't wait to ask you, in the numerous articles I read, news reports, all that, this guy got charged with assault too. And like a couple of other things, like attempted murder. Hello, anybody? I could not. I actually thought the article when I first read it was wrong. So I found another one, and I found another one, and they were all the same. And I could not believe that. Did you get I'm sure you're mad. Did you get any explanation from the DA or whoever was running this, an explanation of that?
When it comes to the safety of law enforcement, first responders, and military personnel, every moment counts, especially in the dark. Streamlight provides the reliable, high-performance lighting solutions that these heroes trust in the most dangerous situations, whether it's a car stop, navigating dark alleyways, or exploring abandoned buildings. With Streamlight by their side, our heroes can tackle challenges with confidence, knowing they have the power of advanced lighting technology to guide them. From the first responders on the front lines to the law enforcement officers ensuring our safety, Streamlight is there to make every mission a little easier and much safer. Join us in supporting those who protect us. Visit streamlight.com to discover how you can be part of the team keeping our heroes safe. Because when they shine, we all shine.
Ever wonder what stories your family history holds? Or want to relive the headlines that shaped our world? With newspapers.com, you can explore over 800 million pages of historical newspapers, from small-town stories to global events that changed history. Uncover family milestones, dive into genealogy, or simply take a walk down memory lane. From the quirky to the profound, newspapers.com connects you to the past like never before. Start your journey today. Discover your story at newspapers.com, where history lives on.
Me knowing our court, because the court is in our city, I feel that they probably did it. I did not get an explanation, but I feel that they did that because they like to charge what they know that they can prove. So they don't really, instead they'll rack on charges, but they don't really like exceed the charge to then have to like bring it down kind of a thing. They like to get it right. So I think that's why. And I also think initially they didn't know I had a concussion just because I wasn't throwing up everywhere. The doctor, like, no concussion. They talked about it when I went to the ER, but it was like, have you been throwing up? No. Okay. You're fine. Like it's not, even when I went in the next day, because I ended up going in, he didn't give me an MRI or anything. Months later, they gave me an MRI, but not initially. He's just like, well, keep resting. So I don't think that they really understood the magnitude of, because it wasn't like, other than my hand, I wasn't like bleeding everywhere. Whenever I was facing him, I was either pushing or kicking him away, so he never got my face. So I think like if I had some major wound that people could see, and I think in my speech, actually, I made the wrong idea. I said wounds you cannot see, yes, as a mental thing, but also like everyone's just thought I was, or have been, living it up the past year and a half when they don't talk to me, so they don't really know that this has been a journey.
You know, the things that you're describing that happened right now are sadly not uncommon. Members of law enforcement, Tom and I can tell you from our careers, not just our situations that we were involved in, but other cops we worked with who get involved in insane situations, and the DA's office charges these ridiculously low-level felonies, or sometimes throws the case out. They don't bother. They want that high conviction rate. Why try hard? I've had arguments with DAs telling them I will go to court and testify all day long as a credible witness as to what this person did. This person tried to kill me, and I have other witnesses. Nope. We're not going to charge that. We're going to go for this. We're going to go for that. And then the second part of it is the whole care. Now, we know people, sadly, who are involved in organizations. It's sad that these organizations have to exist, that exist to help people who've gone through the kind of stuff you went through in the line of duty, and then we're not given the proper treatment, the proper attention, medical attention, the proper financial backing, insurance, etc. And I'm not saying your department failed you in that respect, but this is a real testament to how your agency shows whether or not they really care about you as a person or they're checking boxes. I'm not putting down the Middletown Police Department. I'm simply saying what you're saying is common across this country, and that has to change. We simply need to know that the men and women who go out every day, every night, strap on the vest to protect others, when they are put in harm's way, they need to be supported. The best level of medical care, the most concern that can be shown needs to be shown. And I'm sorry to hear that you went through less than that. That's terrible. You did not deserve that.
I really do think it starts with the fact the fact that it's just reality. 99% of the people we work with have never actually, you can get hurt. Like, we can get in fights, but they legitimately don't know what to do, don't know what to say because they've just never been there. And it's cool. Like, it's just, it's hard to explain that they've never been there. They have no idea. Like, training is training is training. There is no sense of fear in training. You're gonna be okay. You could get hit with a sim round, but you're gonna be okay. Making the decision to actually take somebody's life is very different. Like, you can't take it back. Once you pull that trigger, you cannot take it back, and it could be your life, like the rest of your life behind bars if you made the wrong decision. And not having having the object not be a firearm that I saw. Thankfully, I did what I did again because I do look back and I'm like, wow, good job. Like, I don't know what made you take out your firearm because we handle that kind of stuff all the time too. Like, when I said put that down, please, like, I thought he was just gonna throw it down, even if he did it aggressively. Like, we handle people with mental health issues all the time. And if anyone were to guess that somebody would not have gotten in a shooting, it would have been me. Like, my career has not been about, it's not like I'm somebody who goes from 0 to 1, brings a situation from 0 to 100. I'm like the one who does the opposite.
You know what? I had, unfortunately, not to get into myself, I had a shooting back in 1993, and I made a promise to myself after mine, because mine was this whole big thing too, never to comment on someone else's shooting. And I would get asked all the time, oh, what'd you think of that? What do you think of that? And even if you've gone through it, you can't comprehend what's on your mind or what you're looking at or what you're facing. And I just made it a point never to do that. I would get asked, oh, did you see that on the news? Yeah. What do you think? I don't know. Because, and now, like you just said, Carly, and you're so right, that's another cop with 30 years experience in NYPD saying that. What's someone who has never even been in that situation or talked to someone in that situation, trying to help you? And Dan's right. All these departments around the country need to just focus so much on the health of their officers. And a lot of times they come up short.
Agreed. Not saying anything bad, but agreed.
No. It's okay, and you're being honest about it. And the way you were treated is the way you were treated. For whatever reason it was, your department didn't fully grasp what it is that you had experienced. And we hope that agencies around the country will begin to take a different look at these sorts of things. Tom and I worked in the NYPD back in the day. Everybody says back in the day, but really it was different times. It was insanely busy with crime and cops getting into struggles with people with guns and knives, cops dealing with mental health issues violently, cops getting in shootings, not uncommon at all. Sadly, even members of the service getting killed, not uncommon at all. Our department was well versed in dealing with these things. And many times, even then, they drop the ball because they take care of everything on the checklist, but they don't necessarily look deep into the heart and soul of the individual and say, are you okay? What do you need? And good people do that. And a lot of people are great people in NYPD and around the country, but they don't understand. So you had this crazy, crazy situation, which I am so happy that the Lord saved you and kept you with us. And it was only through his actions because somebody with a claw hammer attacking you that violently, who's that much bigger than you, by all rights and in many other situations, you would not have survived, but you did. And I'm very happy that you did. You're here to tell your story and you're here to share it and you're here to continue to serve the people of Middletown, Connecticut, who are lucky to have you. And talking about that, if you don't mind, let's shift over to what you do. What you do is so important. Tell us a little bit about the work that you do with the Middletown Police Department.
Well, I run my side gigs are I run our cadet program. So with kids 13 to 21, get them ready to either join police or uh, whatever they would let. A lot of them go into fire or EMT. But that is like one of my biggest accomplishments, being able to work with those kids. It is so rewarding to just give them a home outside of their home and see them grow. Oh my gosh, the confidence that they get throughout the time is just amazing. I also run our car seat clinics for new parents, continuing parents, the whole 9 yards. And then my main job is a detective in our special investigations unit. So sex assaults, crimes against children, um, domestic homicides, those type of things. And then I also am part of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, which is how it sounds. It's just dealing with any sort of child crimes or child pornography or anything like that that is on the dark web, or we work with agencies around the country and afar and abroad, those kind of things. And it's an amazing there's so many different agencies that work together to make it happen, but it is amazing that we're able to get cases just from different agencies that are able to track what people do behind the scenes. And so I work with that as well. And so that's what I mean about nothing in my career path is really anything that anyone would have ever known about otherwise.
You mentioned the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. I've learned a lot about that over the years, and it's something that wasn't in existence when I was still in the department. But the average person in this world, in this country, has no idea the extent to which people are out there all the time trying to lure young girls and boys into sexual situations. Adults, pedophiles. It is so common, and you get a front row seat and a glimpse into all of that. Tell our audience how common it is and maybe a few tips for parents, what they might be doing or not doing that could help or hurt their children's situation.
It is so common, and especially with social media. I don't have kids, but I can only imagine having children. Um, and there are a lot of things you can do now that phones give you the ability to track what your children are doing, and setting limit on who they can speak to, I think is so through social media. I think you're able to do that now with Instagram. Other than that, I would not allow my kids to have any of the Snapchat. The Snapchat is gone. Like, people also don't understand how much can actually disappear. We're lucky that dark web, there's different pictures that we know NCMEC, they have the different tools in order to track these images and videos that are known to be child pornographic um activities happening. But otherwise, like Snapchat, it goes away. Once it's away, law enforcement can't get it. It's gone. So you can tell us something happened, but we can't go back. They're not going to save it for us. It's not like Facebook. It's not like Instagram. And even with those, once something's deleted for a certain number of days, we can no longer get it. So just being so cautious as to who and what profiles and different apps these kids are downloading is so important. And just I would have conversations about how, because a lot of these pedophiles are projecting themselves as the same age or around the same age as their kid. So they can now, with this, like, face app thing, like, I can make myself into a little, like, 12-year-old just using my picture it changes my features to look like a 12-year-old. But it looks real. It's crazy. So just having the discussion of with your children about not speaking to anyone that they don't know. You shouldn't I know I wasn't born into we all weren't born with all these resources to meet people, but meeting people online as a kid is no bueno. They need to meet person. There's no having online buddies from what I would say. I feel like I would be a strict parent, but it's because of everything I see. So I think that that would be a huge tip. And if, I mean, you have to have some control over what your children are seeing.
Yep. And you know what? We've done a few shows on child trafficking and sex trafficking and all that. And the advice is always the same. And parents need to get it. You have to get into your kids' lives of who they're talking to, what they're doing. And AI today makes that even harder and worse of a problem with the manipulation that can be done online, on a web, so whatever it is. You need to, and like I said, we've talked to numerous people, and it's always the same. And parents need to start getting it. Not just parents, teachers, coaches, all that. It's a group effort. That their kids, they're still kids, and you need to protect them. Your story just gets more and more interesting because you're not just the cop that just rolled into a bad situation and all this happened to you. Your career has been so impressive that that was just a part of it. That unfortunate situation. And you've had a hell of a career, which culminated into a incredible evening in March of this past year in Fort Worth, Texas, when you were inducted into the National Law Enforcement Officers Hall of Fame, which I know is a great night. Tell us about that, getting that call and understanding what the organization is and the night you got in.
Well, I got the call. I remember I was at work and I get so many spam calls a day. So I ignore because I'm
Thought it
like,
was
who
spam.
are
That's
these
great.
people calling from wherever? So I ignored it. And then I think that they sent me a text message or something. Maybe I called, I'm not sure. But I do remember finally getting on the phone. And Megan and Adam were on the phone and they were like, so you've been nominated for the National Law Enforcement Hall of Fame and by Jeff Falk, which, as you know, I believe he's like a co-founder with his daughter of Because of the Brave, which is amazing. And I know him prior to law enforcement. I'm not someone who thought I was going to be in law enforcement for my entire life. I was thinking I would be a counselor. Um, so anyways, circumstances brought me to law enforcement, but I knew him for at least 4 years, 5 years before law enforcement. So anyways, I just got very emotional because I'm like, really? Like, are you sure you followed the right person? It's in Texas, like the whole 9 yards. And I just felt so honored. I had no idea that he had nominated me for it or put me in for the nomination out and then you're inducted. I get those confused. But so anyways, I was so grateful. And so we flew out and my dad came from Utah with his girlfriend. And then my brother I knew was coming from Colorado. And I show up at the airport to pick up my dad, and my other brother from Utah is hiding behind the little post. he came out, and that's the first time I've ever been surprised by anyone, really. It was amazing that they all, and it still hits me teary-eyed that they all showed up. Because to me, it's like, it is totally just our job, and we need to, like, we should go out every day knowing something like this could happen, but it was just truly amazing to have that opportunity. And then getting there and meeting everybody, I was just overwhelmed with everyone's support. Like, Tom, I mention you all the time because you reach out on a pretty regular basis, and I love my police department, love everybody in it, but, like, you've since I've met you, you've reached out very regularly, and whenever I even talk about how, "No, I haven't really talked to anybody," I'll be like, "But I met Tom at the," and he has been so supportive this entire time, and it just means the world to me, like, friendships that are gonna last forever. So, um, and then standing up there, they told me that I needed to, clearly I'm not the best talker, but they told me that I was gonna have to, um, say a speech, and my boyfriend's like, "No, it's fine. It's just gonna be like, you just get up there. It's really quick. And so you're fine. Don't write anything. It's not gonna be a big deal." Not like the award wasn't a big deal, but the speech. And so I'm like, "Okay, like that, I guess it'll be weird if I have something written and nobody else does." And then the first person gets up there and it's this amazing long speech. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I like start jotting things down. And then I get up there and I'm just like, "Whatever. I've already screwed this up." But I'm a great writer, and I'm so bummed that I didn't write it. But anyways, it was an experience. It was amazing, and I'm so honored to be a part.
Are you a law enforcement officer looking to enhance your understanding of trauma-informed practices? Join Kevin Donaldson, host of the Suffering podcast and former New Jersey law enforcement officer, alongside Sherry Alsup, a subject matter expert and survivor of long-term sexual assault, trauma, and suicide attempt, for an impactful 8-hour on-site training session. This victim-centered interactive class will provide you with the tools to approach cases with empathy and understanding, offering real-world insight from a survivor's perspective. CEUs are available, and you'll walk away better equipped to handle the complexities of trauma. Visit www.realkevindonaldson.com and www.sherryalsup.com to learn more. Empower your agency with knowledge that makes a difference.
Patriot is a premium whiskey hard seltzer. We've carefully crafted 4 flavors that not only taste exceptional, but can be enjoyed on any occasion, anytime. We're committed to giving back 5% of all profits to the core groups we call the backbone of America. We are proud to help those who serve our great country. This is America's Seltzer, the brand that stands for quality, community, and the American spirit.
You honor the organization with your career, your service, the way that you handle yourself that night. You gave a great speech from the heart, just from
Thank
the
you. It was
heart.
from the heart. Yeah.
And that's what people want to hear. That's genuine. Love that. Love that. And you know, you're not just in the Hall of Fame because of what you did that one night. Your career in totality is looked at as well. The humility, the fact that you came back from those injuries and resumed your work serving your community and sponsoring and helping young cadets work their way through tough challenges in life, maybe to go into law enforcement, but at the very least, you are helping a new generation. You're doing so many things. ICAC Task Force, work with special victims. These are the types of things that are difficult for people to do, but you handle them so well. You're in there for a variety of reasons. You deserve to be in there, and you deserve to walk among people like yourself. And it's just an honor to get to know you and to hear your story. And it's that humility that is what you see in people who are truly great. And I tip my hat to you for that. You are a humble person. And but we see who you are.
You almost got me with that account of that night. Because you know why? It's a close family, and what happened to you, Dan and I have said this, God, so many times with stories that we've heard on this show. We think about situations that we've been in, and we could have been in yours 1,000 times. 1,000 times. You know, Kimber just getting shot the way she did, Lindsay getting shot the way she did, other officers being shot. How many times that could have happened in the blink of an eye? And luckily it didn't. But that's why our family is what it is. And the respect we have for one another is what it is. And we're a family. And that family grew and became even stronger in March of 2024 in Fort Worth, Texas, when a group of us were in one room together at the same time and realized what we all went through and that we're all new brothers and sisters to one another. And it was an honor to share that night with you, to meet you, and to have this friendship that we have now. It means the world to us, to me, that you're part of that. And you're going to get pissed at me. I don't care. You're a hero. You are. And because, not that what you went through is another day on the job. For some it is. But what you did before, during, and after, like Dan brought up, that makes a hero. To pass on what you are to cadets, the future of our job, is a hero. And you are certainly that.
It's a special show, Tom. We have so many special guests, but this is a special show because I am so taken back, Karli, by your humility, your steadiness, your commitment to serve. And I think the profession is better for you being in it. And I know that our audience is going to love hearing your story. And I'm just so honored. And thank you so much for giving us your time today. And I look forward to seeing you again, maybe at the Hall of Fame. Maybe you'll show up as a past inductee and get to be honored all again. And that you'd be so deserving of it.
Thank you for having me on. It is an honor to be here. You have so many amazing guests, and just like with the awards, it's like I'm just taken aback by the both of you even having me on. It really means a lot to me.
Well, it was a no-brainer. It was just scheduling. That's all. It was just figuring out when, we were all good enough and ready and able to get this story out. But before I close the show out, I want a 30-second hit from you on what do you tell your cadets about this job?
We really thankfully, I have an amazing friend that helps me with the program, and he and I work very closely together. And we obviously, especially now, just harp on, well, with the program, okay, I don't want to get too into it, but it's a lot of, we're teaching them how to be cops, essentially. Like, just the structure. A lot of them don't have structure at home. You need to be on time. It's like an academy kind of. And so communication and being aware. I feel like if I only have 30 seconds, like that's probably one of the biggest things that especially after COVID, because we shut down during COVID, being aware of your surroundings and getting out of your phone and paying attention to what you post on social media. I feel like you had a different vision of what I was going to say with this.
No, none. This was all you. This was you. That's why I was curious. I had none. I wanted to hear from your voice what, you're telling our future officers, to be ready for, and it's all on point.
Promptness, being on time. I mean, I pretty much lecture them every time with them. I feel bad, but it's like sometimes they won't put down the phone, and like it's just we've had to let some cadets go because of things that they post on social media. You are everything you post. It doesn't matter if your profile is private or not. You need to think that the entire world is going to see it, and they are a reflection of us. So if they do something that's out of the what we would do as police officers outside of the program, it's just like us. We are working 24/7. I can't go out and be somebody that I can't go into work being. Like, I need to be I need to make my department proud no matter what I'm doing and no matter who I'm with, and that's what we expect from them. So, yeah, that's my 30 seconds.
No, that's great. That's great. And you know what? It is more than some people call it a calling. It's a profession. It's a commitment. It's a lifestyle. It is more than just your 8 hours. You represent your department. You're always on duty to the extent that if something happens, you're sworn to take action. And it's a different type of job. And you have to understand that reputation goes a long way. I didn't have to deal with social media and things like that when I was a cop, but now it's tough. Right, everybody, you're always under that microscope. The things that you do and say are gonna be held against you or just held up for public scrutiny, so you have to be very careful. Um, Carly, I cannot thank you enough, and, I wish you all the best in everything that you're continuing to do for the city of Middletown and personally, and I hope that you continue to, um, make progress in your recovery from the injuries you sustained because it really wasn't that long ago. And, traumatic brain injuries do take a while, and, I'm just glad that you survived it, and I know you survived it for a reason, and I know many people are gonna be, the better for you having come through that incident, and, God bless you, and thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, don't go anywhere because we got some things to talk about with you. But this is the part of the show that we pray for our law enforcement officers and for reasons like this show, because law enforcement officers, cops out there, their lives can change in 30 seconds. You just listen to one. So every once in a while, give them a break. That's all. Give them a break. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them a break. When you see them on the street, give them a wave. Say thank you to them in a store. Our law enforcement officers, our military vets, they do a job a lot of people won't volunteer to do. And every military vet and law enforcement officers volunteer to do this. So just pray for them, pray for their families, and we'll get through our tours with a little help from God and some prayers. So for my partner, Dan Murphy, for an incredible guest, Karli Travis, Hall of Famer, this is Tom Smith for Gold Shields. Everybody out there, thegoldshieldshow.com, at the Gold Shield Show on Instagram and youtube.com/@goldshields. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, get all the notifications, and don't miss shows like this ever. Okay, everyone out there, please stay safe. We'll see everybody soon.